What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Aged Out Reacts with the two hosts of the Aged Out podcast, Mike Fantini and
Evan Worrell.
And today we couldn't not cover Infinity Percussion from finals this year. WGI 2022. They were probably one of the groups that were like the talk of the weekend. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Coming out of finals night, I remember seeing my buddy Joe Avery, who runs Red Wave, and he asked me what my favorite shows were, and I named a couple groups, but I knew Infinity was on there, and they were all like, "Dude, us too." I think it came. I don't want to say out of nowhere, but it was definitely the surprise of the weekend in a good way.
It kind of was, because like
For me.
Infinity didn't have as much content get put on YouTube throughout the season, kind of like a Monarch type deal. Like we hadn't seen anything from Monarch, and we hadn't really. There had been a couple subs clips of like a 45-second thing, something on Instagram, but I hadn't
lots of
really
videos, but not like the whole show.
So we couldn't not react. So as you can see, this video is provided by 6 a.m. Films. Great channel, has tons of high quality audio video content of lot videos, and definitely go subscribe and check it out. It's good stuff. We appreciate being able to use his content always. So check out the podcast on podcast services. Head over to LoneStarPercussion.com. Use the discount code AgedOut. Save yourself $10 on any order of $50 or more. Links are all in the video description. So I'm ready. You ready?
Yep.
All right. I have also not seen this, and I'm pretty sure it's like a front and battery, like full ensemble from finals. So
Perfect. I haven't seen it either, obviously. This show is just wicked smart. It's not
cool.
like overly intellectual, but clever things. Like it was very fun to watch on a first read.
Yep. The visual cues there for the go.
Gotta communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Dude, Quadline's feeling in back there too, giving it up for their homie.
Are those old Scojo felt tip things with practice sticks?
I don't think so.
Good opening phrase.
Solid.
Not a big fan of the splits, but it sounded good, and they did it, so kudos.
It was kind of like, but I think, wasn't it like an A-B split, not like every man plays by themselves?
I think so.
I like that. I like that better.
It gives it a little more fullness to the sound.
Right.
It hides the minor tuning differences a little better.
Little rhythmic motif here.
Dude, I heard a lot of good sounding Tama drums that weekend.
Yeah, for real. Saw that
Nice
Broken
slow
City
rolls.
just switched to Tama.
I did.
Tama. Oof, good balance down to the low end with the floppy
Dude,
flames.
the rolls were really blended too. Those snare rolls, like those 7 strokes in there, was all blended.
Dude, this like groove over top of the front and the marimbas is really, yeah.
Well, that was cool cymbals. The 16th note splits. Whew.
Yeah, good add-in. Yeah. Good space between the notes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some good flam content.
It's not like overly written to the point to where you can really.
Woo!
Yeah, good finish. I was just gonna say it's not overly written to the point to where you can really shape the battery music dynamically.
Yeah.
A lot of time when it's too dense, you can only really do so much.
Oh,
Maybe
good jump to the edge.
Yeah, yeah.
That wasn't fully blended. Dude, it's good. Like, there's a couple little small things in there. Those isolated right-hand doubles were a little off, but...
at the beginning, moving out of the singles into like a double phrase, just like a minor pressure thing, but really, really consistent for the most part.
Yep.
Oof. What's this? Where's this happening? Is this in a keyboard player, synth player? I like that.
Using the battery for some different textures.
Yeah, they did a lot of really cool things visually during these more front-heavy moments. Just manipulating like time forward and backwards. I think this was the phrase that they played forwards, and then they rewind it. The body and the notes and the dynamics and everything. Just really clever.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and then they have the sound effect. Yeah. We kind of did something like this at Crown in 2010 where we did a rewind. Not this well. We didn't do it this well, but... but we did the drill and everything backwards. Really good. Go back. So that's like that full ensemble, like the battery and the front. Those like cold reattacks and then just finding the space for those rhythms in there. Like full ensemble space.
Really... You want to go all the way back?
No.
So right here?
It was like after the sound effect part.
Okay, this is perfect then.
Just like the keys and the battery all... hard.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we'll clap for that. Yeah.
There's difficulty in this show that isn't the in-your-face difficulty. If that statement makes sense.
Touch, balance, blend.
Yeah. Timing, space.
It's similar to the snares, consistent, but a couple scratchy.
Yep. That phrase didn't start out.
Yeah, those bursts.
Yeah. It locked in, but it took it a second. I can't tell if this is because of where the mics are positioned or...
Yeah, it doesn't sound great where we're at right now.
But no. That did.
That's good. Yeah, good layering from the keyboards, just like fitting into that 16-note run. Consistent permutations up front. I'm trying to give these people the front ensemble content. See, if you want me to pause it. So my commentary on the front is going to be obviously severely less nuanced. I do hear it and I do recognize it, but at the risk of not sounding like a total idiot, I don't always comment on it. So
see, I'm still learning. I'm taking from Evan's cue here, and we've said it before on the podcast. We're both drum heads, but like Evan's had a lot more practice at this point due to his wife being a band director, helping out their bands, and just
when you judge, it does force you. Like I've done judging, so it does force you. Like
exactly,
you got to get out of your own head.
So I'm working on it. We're working on it.
The last
double, yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Right before the shot.
Yeah. Somebody got a little overexcited.
Ooh, those rolls. Tap fives in there.
Good tap fives.
Back to our rhythmic motif, yeah. And if I remember correctly, too, on the floor, I felt like watching this finals night, they were just they were nailing shit like left and
Mm-hmm.
right, and it was just a really good energetic run. And then right there at the end, like a few uncharacteristic sounds, people just like almost couldn't control the adrenaline. It's just like, this is going so well. And there was just a couple moments like that on the floor too, where you're just like, I wish I had that one back, but at the same time, that raw emotion just takes over.
It does something for sure. So I'm gonna ask a question or make a statement.
Yeah, it's important.
I do not think the battery book was overly difficult from a content or like
Yeah,
notes standpoint. It didn't. It's not a book that struck me as, man, that's just tough. There's a few moments that are really tough, like we pointed out, from a nuance standpoint and a touch standpoint, and that's difficult in its own right. But there were a few really short, bursty phrases where like the quads had something pretty difficult for a couple bars in a feature, or the snares had that long roll's hard to do to stay consistent the whole time, and those two left pings at the end of it. But there's some flam vocabulary in there. The bass features were, as a non-bass drummer, struck me as pretty difficult. Now, what they did with the layering with those threes, let us know if you're a bass drummer in the comments. I think that's really hard.
The
But
threes, you're talking about the buggetas,
yeah, the bugadas.
Yeah.
There were
I
moments,
started pulling it up here
but
as you were
so
talking.
because we had said in our podcast that we thought maybe Infinity should have beaten Mystique, like definitely should have beat United. I would say, having seen what I've seen from United, I think United had a much more content-filled battery book.
Uh, well, Infinity did beat them in hands.
Okay, well that's
They
clarity.
were
How about comp?
six.
And comp's not
Um,
difficulty. We've learned that recently.
so Infinity was Bettis had them 6-5. Comp performance. Rarick had them 10-7.
10
So
in comp.
yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, like he had Rarick had United 8-9. So he had United ahead of them in composition, but below them in in execution.
Interesting. Got
So,
some
but I mean, that
disagreement.
kind of makes sense with what you were saying. I mean, like, you didn't think Infinity had as strong of a book as United, which Rarick said that.
And you corrected me on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Infinity and United were pretty much between Bettis. They were like 6-7, so it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Um,
And you corrected me on this beforehand because I was like, I made the comment. I said we hadn't watched this before, and we hadn't, but we've talked about Infinity and United
yeah,
and
yeah.
CM and stuff. And
Bettis had Infinity over Mystique in execution and performance, but below them in comp, which
so
I would
that
probably agree with.
I was
Mystique
getting ready to say
didn't
I
have
can
a
agree with
great. They
that.
didn't have a great finals run.
I can agree with that score. But I wanted to point out, and you pointed this out to me beforehand, where I was going a second ago, was that comp is not difficulty; it's variety of content, right?
Yeah, in the sheets, like
So
on the actual judging sheets, it does not talk about difficulty in relation to content. It just talks about variety of content. So more like skill sets. What are you doing to show a variety of skills that you can present to us? Not how hard are they.
And to
So
me, that struck me as weird at first, but then you pointed out, and I kind of saw the light a little bit of like, well, then you have to have what, like a hierarchy of rudiments
right,
from a
like
battery standpoint, or like, what are we going to give more weight to that the keyboards are doing in the front? Like, does this get more credit than that in difficulty? It's really hard, and it got me thinking about it a little bit, and I
like
don't.
in figure skating, like there's a clear set that like most figure skaters follow a formula of like you have to hit this triple axle, quadruple axle. Like obviously quadruple axle is harder than a triple axle.
Mhm.
But in drumming, it's like, oh, this person's playing threes, da 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 da, and this person's playing fours. Then the
And how many
tempo dictates a
times
lot of like,
tempo?
whoa.
It's
There's
too
just way
varied,
more.
and
Yeah.
in the moment, it'd be way too hard to like judge and rank that. And I was thinking, and Evan and I were talking about too, how do we know? And it feels like it's intuitive for us because we've marched as much as we did, we've taught, we've been a fan and watched as much. Like we can watch two phrases played by a quad line or a snare line and be like, phrase B was harder. But if we had to actually like, we could break down, but a judge probably isn't going to be able to do that, taking in a whole show. So I
Right.
kind of get it thinking about it from that angle. So
And there were plenty of things that I played on tour. I can think very specifically at Crown in 2010. We had this this jelly roll or this inverted roll where it just sounded like a tap roll. but we were inverting the whole thing, but you would never know.
Yeah.
And
So
no one would ever catch it. And then we ended up changing it because we were like, what are we doing here? Why are we even doing this?
so it
No one's
kind of
ever going to know.
does strike me as it makes sense they would do focus on variety of the world class skill sets in the content.
I'm sure that the judges too will apply common sense when
Yes.
common sense is
Yes.
needed. Like they're all very smart people. So
Yeah. If you have a book out there that has 0 flams in it, and you've got the next group playing and again, that's variety. So if you have no flam phrases or no flam content, it is difficult by default. But when you look at it from a standpoint of it's a variety of the world class of what we deem as world class skill sets that they're executing, it makes
and
sense.
I guess not to get on podcast rant mode because
We kind of have for the past 5 minutes, but whatever.
But I wonder where the separation is, and hopefully our next podcast guest can clarify some of this when we sit down with him, because he is a WGI judge. But like, when does it become a rhythmic motif versus, oh, you're just repeating the same thing, or like you're overusing this?
Yeah,
this
what's the
skill
line?
set? Yeah.
So we'll get into that. We have our next guest lined up. We'll announce that later. But so go check out social media and the podcast services so you don't miss it. We loved Infinity. Couple scratchies in there. Very well designed show. Very well executed. Could have seen them finish above a United, in our opinion. Some of the judges across the board had them in their captions above or below, and it was kind of a dogfight. And good times. They were fun to watch.
Good job, dudes.
So
and
remember,
ladies and gentlemen,
Lone Star Percussion, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon if you want to support us financially. And we will see everybody in the next reaction video /podcast.
Peace.